hard work, there's always trade-offs, right? So I used to travel a whole lot, sacrificed family time, but in the end, don't have regrets. Don't have, I would say that I tell this to my kids all the time. Nothing in life matters if you aren't having fun. In the end, that's what it's all about. That journey, it's your journey, and you got to enjoy it. You got to have no regrets, and, just be happy.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to subscribe. We've got Serge Sachdeva on the show today. He is an active investor after an entrepreneur from the junior year of college to today. Still has the same company, still has the same partners. He's going to talk about excellence, lying in consistent and honest effort. He's going to talk a lot about the power of fun and how to find it and the importance of the people around you. Welcome to the show and welcome to the Edge of Excellence. Well, Serge Sachdeva, thank you so much for agreeing to be on my podcast now 4 times in a row and finally showing up. Welcome to the Edge of Excellence.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Well, I know you're happy to be here. Serge is one of my good buddies, and I have a rule: if you flake out, you don't get to go to lunch with me. And Serge flaked out because he's too up. We're going to cut that. Just cut that last part. It's not funny. Well, Serge, we're going to start this off the way we always start this off. What is your definition of excellence?
Oh, wow. Great question, Matt. Yeah, excellence to me, if I look back, it means just being consistent and being honest in anything that you do, whether that's in business or it's in your personal life. Most of us have goals. Some of us have way too many goals and expect immediate results and lack of patience. Rather, focusing on the efforts and the results will come is my definition, is what I teach my kids all the time. In the end, I would say, consistency is excellence because consistency is hard work and it really pays off.
All right. So is it that consistency and honesty leads to excellence? Because people can't see right now, but I'm holding up my harmonica and I am consistently practicing this harmonica. I've been doing it for about 2 months and I really suck at it. So by your definition, I'm consistent, I'm honest, but I'm not excellent. So is it that consistency and honesty and effort leads to excellence?
Absolutely. And you'll get better, Matt. You'll see it. You'll get better someday. It really does. Just people say that I'm bored doing monotonous work and bored doing all this and they get sidetracked. But I really think that if you're just focused and being consistent with things, even I say this to my wife, I'm consistent in my marriage because I know that there are certain things that I need to do and put efforts in for that to work. So really that I think it absolutely works.
So if you're listening right now and you're worried, because I don't know if you know this, Serge, but lots of people in their 20s are worried that they're not as great as they want to be. And if you're worried that you're not as great as you want to be, and I talk about patience a lot, be patient. You can become excellent. According to Serge, who's got a huge business, you can become excellent. It just won't happen today. I'm not going to be excellent at the harmonica by the end of the year, but in 10 years, I could be really good if I consistently and honestly focused on my effort. So whatever you're doing, whatever you're anxious about because you watch too much Instagram videos and TikTok videos, whatever you're impatient about, pause for a second and think, is there any way Serge can be wrong? No. Consistent, honest effort will get you there. But Serge, you got an interesting story. You got one that people really want to hear. Straight out of college, you started a business all by yourself. Straight out of college, I became an entrepreneur because the 2 other people were already entrepreneurs and they kind of started it before me. You did it the other way. So we're going to get into that. Before we do, You come from Toronto, Canada, where people talk funny and eat weird French fries. You went to high school at Silverthorne High School, which I think my buddy Steve sent his kids there too. What was life like in high school? Were you already kicking butt? Were you not? Did you know what you needed to do? Did you not? What was going on in high school with you?
Well, was I kicking butt? No, I was struggling. I mean, it's life. Generally speaking, in high school, it was more about just fun. Not, I mean, we were always independent. I always worked independently at the age of 14, ever since we moved to Toronto. So I had a little bit of head on my shoulder with responsibility. But for the most part, I've always had fun in every step of my life. So high school generally was pretty easy, cheesy, fun, and just always was struggling for my, ever since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to be in business. So I was always struggling and always had that in the back of my head, what it is that I'm going to do. What business am I going to get into? So that's it. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's exactly what we needed to hear. So, first of all, were you getting good grades?
Yes.
Okay, so high school was fun and you were achieving. And then you said you always had fun. And sometimes people think you have to work or have fun. And I think you can have fun at work. We're having fun right now. I think you can have fun with your family. You can have fun with your friends. Everything can be fun. So early in life, you went for the I'm going to be an achiever and have fun while I'm doing it, right?
Absolutely.
And how did you manage that? How do you manage having fun while you're studying? How do you manage having fun while you're working a job? How did you do that?
I mean, it's first is it's your friends, your company. You just got to make sure that you have the right folks, right friends. Just having fun with friends leads to, for me at least in high school, group studies were really fun. I enjoyed that thoroughly. So it's just I think I would say just having the right friends would probably do the trick.
Okay, so you got some friends that are dragging you down. You got some friends that are narcissists. You got some friends that are negative. You get rid of them and you focus on the ones that are lifting you up, that have the same values and vision you do. If you're listening right now, same values and vision, and then they're lifting you. You're growing from them as you move forward. And you probably have a lens on those glasses of yours that's a little bit rose colored, and you're scanning around looking for a way to find the enjoyment in what you're doing, right?
Absolutely. You got to have fun, really. I mean, this is something my dad, I mean, I saw that my dad, he was a real hard worker. But every night he would have his friends over or his business associates, and they would have fun, drinking, eating, and doing work. So I've always gauged that from him, and I've learned that you got to have fun in life, otherwise it's all meaningless.
All right. And you can have fun while you're at work and then come home with those same people. You can have fun while you're at school. You can learn to enjoy math class. You can learn to focus on how you're growing and make fun out of it. And then you have a second thing that you mentioned that people want to hear about, Serge, and that's that you were racking your brain on what business to go into all the way back to high school. You knew you wanted it. You probably had anxiety. You probably had some anxiety like just about everybody does now, but not as much because you didn't have Instagram waving in your face. How did you get through that kind of painful time of really worrying that it's not happening right now and I got to have a business idea? How did you get through that?
Honestly, my dad. I mean, my dad. So when I used to live in Toronto, my dad was in India, and he was always a self-made man. He's always into business, and he would always coach us, guide us. He always said, just be patient. It will come to you. I would always kind of just worry, Dad, like the economy in Canada was bad at the time when I was in college. And it was, we were talking. I remember talking to my dad so many times, and he would say, "Just be patient. Something will come. We'll figure it out." So I think that helped a whole lot. Just kind of mentoring me and calming me down, and then a little bit of luck.
All right. So if you're listening right now and you don't have a dad or your dad's not so supportive, we've covered this in other shows. It's important to find a support structure. Go find it. My son's got this friend, Van, who's got great parents, but Van comes to my office and shares his business ideas with me and looks to me for some support. I have a friend who passed away a year ago this month in a car accident. His kids are calling me up all the time. They're coming over for dinner. I've become the support in his absence. So you can find somebody because people want to do it. We want to help you. Serge was lucky. He had a dad who was wise, and then even better, Serge realized that, because most people don't realize that their parents have some wisdom that they can take out of them. But you want to find a good support structure to help you calm down, help you be less anxious, help you be more patient. And so you moved from high school at Silverthorne in Toronto. You're eating what are those greasy fries you guys eat there? Poutine. You're eating your poutine for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like a good Canadian, wearing your plaid red shirt, shooting at moose, which are really not the greatest animals. They're not as bad as geese or swans or camels, but they're up there. And you end up going to Toronto again, boring, for college. So you wanted to stay close. I was going to stay close to home, but your home was all the way back in India. So you're somewhat brave. And in college, something weird happened. Now, you were doing pretty well in college. You're having fun getting good grades in college, right?
I was getting average grades. I was kind of a little off track, a little
What's
focused.
average grades, by the way?
As B's and C's, probably.
God, I hope your son listens to this, and I hope my son listens to this. You and I hold our sons to a higher standard. I've been grinding my son so hard, and he's kicking my butt on my GPA, and I just keep pushing him. Okay, so you're getting pretty good grades, and this is where I'm going to put a little caveat. I'm going to throw a little flag up. Serge did something I don't recommend doing. He pulled the Bill Gates, and he left college a year before it was done. If I was talking to Serge back then, I'd say, "Hey, Serge, wait a year, finish it, get that piece of paper and leave some doors open." So Serge didn't do that. It worked out okay, but you're in college. And while you're going into your senior year, you stop college and you start the cell phone business that was called Payless Wireless, then In Touch Wireless. Currently, same business, same brother you're in business with for 29 years. And then you merge with another company. Now it's called Arch Telecom. And you've got 4 partners total. I've got 4 partners total. You got a similar setup to what I have. How did that happen? People want to know. They're doing the same thing you were doing. They want to be in business. They're struggling. They're anxious. How did the idea come to you?
Okay, so let me backtrack a little bit. My senior year in college, I have a family friend of mine that migrated from India to New York. And he had called me one day and goes, "What are you doing? What's going on?" I said, I don't know what my next step is, but I'm grinding and I'm doing all this. And he says, well, I'm getting into this cell phone business. I'm securing a contract with a company called Cellular One, which is now AT&T. And I said, "What is a cellular? What is that business all about?" I had no idea what it was. So he goes, "Come check it out. It's in New York." One of my sisters lived in New York. She was married and lived in New York. So I said, "You know what? I'll come for a week and take a look, spend some time with you, and then make a decision." So we had, when I went there. By the way, that was it. I never even went back to Toronto. I mean, I may have gone back once to pick up my stuff, but I loved everything about not just the business, the environment, the people. He had 3 of his friends. All 4 were working in one wireless store. And oh, by the way, that was store number 3 in all of Manhattan at the time. He was the first, I guess, dealer to open the store in New York City. And it was on 35th Street between 5th and 6th. 4 guys managing it from 10 to 7 every day. And then afterwards, we would go out to restaurants for a drink, and they all 4 lived together in a big house. So they were co-sharing. It was just so much fun. And this goes back to what we were talking about, having fun. And I think I found it. My friend's name is Gary. I told Gary, I said, Gary, I love this. I want to stay here. I want to learn the business. And then once I'm fully trained, will you open a store with me? He goes, absolutely. So that was in 1990, tail end of 93. And in 94, August, I opened my first store in Manhattan on Lexington and 56th. And that had actually an interesting story as well, which kind of goes to my childhood days of how my dad would teach us the value of money. So when it came time to open the store, I wanted about $75,000, I believe, and I didn't have all this money. So naturally, I went to my dad. I said, Dad, I need this money. So he comes to New York. He takes a look at the store. He takes a look at the business. Again, they were family friends of ours. So he goes, absolutely, I'll give you the money for it. And which he did. I opened my first store in 94. And I paid back. I remember I paid back my dad that money about a year and a half later. And this is what he tells me. I go to my dad. I said, Dad, here's your check. Thank you so much for giving me this money. And he turns around and gives it right back to me. He goes, this was all your money. So back in Toronto, when we were 16, my brother and my dad was in India. He says, you guys got to start paying rents to your sister. So we used to live with our sister. And we were struggling. We were doing, part-time jobs in high school, college, weren't really doing well. I was working at Avis Car Rental, I believe, at the time. But we were paying our sister rent to save for years. But in reality, my dad told my sister, take the money from them, but just deposit it in an account and don't say anything. So for years, she never said anything. And that was the money that he returned back, some of it that he returned back, and some of it he paid. He goes, I just wanted to teach you guys the value of money and how important it is and how to be independent. So not only were we working at a very young age, and that was also a shock because coming from India, I mean, we've lived like kings and queens, right? And Matt, you've been to India, so you know how people live there with all the resources that they have. Coming to Canada, just working, grinding, and then paying rent, paying for the car, paying for your tuitions. It puts a toll on a kid's head. So in essence, when he gave me that, it was just a lesson that I learned. That wow, what my dad did was just super smart, impressive, and it was just mind blowing.
Yeah. So if my kids are listening right now, that's a strategy that parents take. Force their kids to work. If you're a parent, force your kids to work. It makes a big difference. So I'm going to get back to your story a little bit. You had this family friend that you were a partner with in the first store. You ended up
Yes.
Paying everybody back, but that's not that person did not remain your partner, did they?
No. So that was very short-lived for 2-3 years. He branched out on his own with a different carrier. And he's still one of my very closest friends.
And you went into business with your brother instead.
Yeah. So my brother had joined at the time when I opened my first store. We were in Manhattan in this one location, and about a year into 95, he goes, I want to start expanding locations. So he went aggressive and he opened 10 additional locations from 94 to 98. So by the end of 98, we had 11 retail locations all in Manhattan. And he would focus on growth. He would focus on the business development side. I never left the main location, and that was our hub, our baby. So in 98, May of 98, I got married, which we'll talk a little bit about, I'm sure. And in October of 1998, So there's another group, two brothers from Westchester County. Yeah, so I met another partner, another set of brothers, and they had similar amount of locations in '98, and we merged just on a paper napkin deal. That's it. It was just a handshake, no contracts, no nothing, and never looked back since.
Wow. So we're going to unpack some of this. And your story is so similar to mine. And I was working at a company, it fell apart. Two guys were older, they needed help. Next thing you know, we're partners on a handshake deal. We ended up writing it down because somebody told us you had to. And we've been happily living ever after. But I want to hit a couple things you hit. First of all, you were open to an opportunity. You got a good thing going. You're racking your brain. If you're listening right now, we've been there. Serge and I have been there. You're racking your brain. You don't know what you want to do. You think you want to be in business. You got all these weird ideas. And one came out of the blue that wasn't on your list, and you were open to opportunity. You took the risk of going out. You never knew. So you had a serendipitous win, and you can't find it. You have to relax and let it come. Relax and that's how I found my wife. I was so concerned about never having a girlfriend in my life. I said, I'm not going to say what I said because my kids may listen to this, but I stopped dating. And then it turns out this person I knew since I was in 7th grade and she was in 5th grade ended up being my first girlfriend and my wife. Once I stopped freaking out about it, it came to me. You see this opportunity, you fly to New York, there it is, you have it. Then you said you fell in love with the industry. Now, I don't love the construction industry, but I love the teaching college students industry. How did you fall in love with this boring thing of painting? Why was that something? And think about the listener right now. How do they get themselves to fall in love with these weird industries?
So for me, it was the camaraderie, the friendship. We would always being in Manhattan. It's fun, as you can tell. It's a vibrant city, lots and lots of people. Technology was interesting. It's a very intriguing business, and just met so many customers. Just after work, we were together, staying in one place. We rented a 4-bedroom house in Queens, and we would do things together on the weekend. So it was just always work, play, eat, go back to sleep, rewind, and go next day. Same thing at it.
And we're in the same boat, by the way. There's another similarity. My partners and I lived in the same house. And then we moved and we lived in the same house again. One of them, Jay, he was like 90 years old when he was 20 years old. So he was already married and starting a family. And then there's Jeff, who's not as fun either. But Spence and I, and Jeff too, for the most part, Spence and I always lived together. We always had fun together. And so there might be a secret in there for people. Maybe, and it's what you said in the beginning. It's what worked for you in high school. How were you having fun in high school working so hard? You had the right people around you. How are you having fun starting a cellular company and all the risk and stress? You had the right people around. So first, you're serendipitous and you're looking for opportunities. Second, you fall in love with the people. You have a no asshole rule. We have that in our company. We don't want to work with you if you're an asshole. If you're not fun, if we don't like you, we all work with our best friends. It makes work not work. And then third, you, like me, decided you don't want to do it on your own, and you had a partner that went and complemented your skill set, or a partner that complemented your work tasks. So one went and expanded, one worked on the model, and you're working on the model, he's expanding, you have this trust going on. And that's kind of a roadmap for some of you listening right now. Be open to what's out there. Look for the people that you're going to fall in love with and love working with. And if you want a partner, Serge and I each have 3 partners. I don't know how people do it without. I find that, 2 people in a partnership, maybe you fight, but 2 people equals 3 brains, 4 people equals like 6 brains. And yeah, you got to divvy it up, but you're divvying up something way bigger, I think. All right. So you're cruising through life. What did you do to filter these 2 new guys? If you're looking for partners, and we say this is the partnership episode, you've got these 2 new guys that are also brothers. How did you get the confidence of realizing that we can do a napkin deal and we can merge our companies and we're better as a foursome than as a twosome? Was it luck, or was it just decision? Was there a decision tree that you used?
So throughout my life, I've not been afraid of, I'm a very optimistic person. I've not been afraid of, consequences or all, what things that happen. I trust. I have a good eye for people, and we just hit it off. I mean, I used to meet one of the partners once a year and do deals together on a smaller scale, but it was just over drinks, over napkin. We didn't have contracts or agreements for years. There's just been so much love, so much trust, and to add a little bit more juice to our story is, the four of us live in the same community. My brother is my next door partner. My other two partners are a few homes down on the same street. Our wives are best of friends, and our kids are best of friends. I mean, it goes back to what I said originally. It's just having fun. You got to have fun at work, and we all four enjoy, and we do so many things similar, like-minded. We play a lot of golf together, poker together, go on trips together, just stuff like that. It just really worked out well. And ultimate thing is, like you said, it's the trust. There's just endless amount of trust. If you're open, if you're honest about everything. I mean, we've had some tough times as a partner. We've had some lessons that we've learned. But in the end, it's the love, the respect, and the trust.
So you got to let go of the fear. You got to take a leap of faith, and it takes effort, right? Managing relationships, managing a partnership. My partnership, we lost all our money, like all of it, and then a bunch more. And we got through it because we worked on the partnership. We would have meetings about how we're feeling. We'd have vision meetings, and we'd do little exercises about where we wanted to go. We'd have fierce conversations where we would address each other's issues, and it made our partnership stronger through those tough times. So if you're looking for a partner, plan on working on the partnership as not as much as the business, but often. And you talk about letting go of fear, especially when you're young. If you're listening to this and you're thinking about starting a business, you got nothing to lose. You can let go of the fear. So now you've got your brother is your next door neighbor. Your other two partners live down the street. You're one big happy family because you're having the fierce conversations. You're discussing things. People are open and honest. And it may take a year to bring up, hey, I don't think you're doing your fair share, but it gets brought up. Or, hey, it may take a year to say, hey, thank you for what you do, but eventually it gets brought up. So let's get into what you do. So now you have basically the same business as you used to have, Arch Telecom. And if people want to find you, Serge, because they want to work with you or they want to stalk you, is it archtelecom.com?
.net.
Archtelecom.net. He came late to the internet world and lost out on the .com. So now are you CEO? Is that your title?
No, I'm not operationally involved. I'm not the CEO.
Oh, even better. Even better. I forgot. You're not operationally involved. So Serge goes into this business. Was someone else the CEO the whole time?
Yes, it was Alex.
Oh my God, you've got an ego that's manageable. That could never happen in my partnership. We have 4 CEOs. So you manage your ego, you let someone else be CEO, and you're working in this business, building stores, and you ended up with 131. Am I guessing right?
We have a little over 200 stores now.
200. So you've been building stores, and you probably sold a few, bought a few, sold a few, bought a few, started a few. You're going up and down. You end up with 200 stores. At the same time, you don't retire when you're 35. You probably could have, but you would be bored. So if you're listening right now and you're thinking, oh, I want to be Serge and I'm going to retire at 35. When you're 35, you won't want to retire. So you're taking some of your money and you're investing together with your partners. You're taking some of your money and you're buying real estate. And now in your 40s, you're no longer operational. What that means is Serge helped build the business. Serge has equity in the business. Serge helps fund the business. And Serge figured out a way to, sometimes it's because people realize that they're holding the company back, not in Serge's case. But Serge figured out a way to move over and let his partners actually run the business the day to day. And Serge works more on investing and high level. So what's a day in the life for Serge now that you've been through the start, grow, and then even exit the operational side? So you're sort of retired from operations. What do you do on a daily basis? Because I know it's not golf all day long. What are you doing?
No. Majority of my time really goes towards, so we have a healthcare space business as well that we invested a few years ago. So majority of my time goes towards my healthcare, and now in the last year, I've just been so fascinated with ground up construction real estate. So I'm more targeting and focusing on building multifamily units. Hopefully, our first project's going to kick off pretty soon in Palm Springs, and then just looking at projects all over East Coast, West Coast.
So retirement equals start over. But when you start over, you're starting in something that you already have a skill set in. And real estate's a little bit out of your core competency. You start over knowing what you've been through before, knowing what you're getting into because you don't know when you're 20. And you've moved into more of an active investor role and a real estate development role in your life, right?
Yeah, and it goes absolutely. And for the kids, I'll say this that I've never you can't work with fear. You gotta you gotta get the fear out of the equation, and don't be afraid to chase something. I mean, obviously, provided you do your homework thoroughly, you identify threats and weaknesses in whatever it is that they're going to do. But once you've done that, uh, you know, like as they say, rejection, and sometimes they may fail, and they say rejection is redirection.
Yeah. So if you're in fear right now, you can stop and think, what's the worst case scenario? How bad is that compared to the best case scenario? And everybody, I keep hearing people do pro con sheets in college. I'm so glad they figured that out. Then you ask yourself, what do you control? And work on what you control. You ask yourself, what can you improve? And you can minimize the worst case scenario by working on what you control and what you improve. And you can minimize your anxiety by realizing, hey, the worst case scenario isn't that bad. And then you can move forward. Serge is not saying every time fear pops up to just ignore it. He is saying analyze it, minimize it, work on what you control. So, for example, my wife thought she had cancer. I didn't freak out at all, which I guess is a bad idea. She was totally freaked out, but I wasn't freaked out because I'm so trained to only work on what I control and let go of the outcome, karma yoga, that, it actually pissed my wife off. So now I've learned to pretend I'm in fear while I'm focused on what I control. She didn't have cancer. Thank God I didn't freak out. So I do want to throw a yellow flag up. I don't have a flag. I have a pen. I just want to be sensitive. You mentioned earlier, I do know how it is in India, and everybody has lots of resources. Both Serge and I know that 800 million people in India have no resources, that there's people starving in the street. We recognize that. There's another group of people that have tremendous resources, which he was referencing, but we are not insensitive to the needs of Indian people. And I want to ask you maybe two last questions. Has your success surprised you? Meaning, you come to America with your sister, your parents stay home. You're sitting there in college, and you go off and do this crazy thing. Are you surprised at where you ended up?
Oh, beyond imagination. I mean, I've been so blessed. Just the fact that my biggest award, my biggest achievement, I would say, is that partnership that we have with the four of us, and you can relate to that, Matt. It's like 24 years is no joke being together with three brothers that I love. I remember when we had merged, we were talking about, we had 20 stores, and we said someday we're going to have 300, 400 stores, and we're going to pull out X amount of money from each store. And long behold, 20 years later, here we go. It's like those words came true. So in short, it's beyond surprised, and I'm blessed to have my friends and my partners throughout this journey.
Yeah, it's funny. The goals are like the horizon. Ours was 10 divisions doing $1 million each. One day we'd get to $10 million, which is funny to look back at. It seemed like such a big number. I have one last question for you. Going back in time, you made some sacrifices, and at the time they might have seemed really horrible. If you went back in time, what's the big sacrifice that you would tell yourself to make every single time you had the opportunity to make it?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. Yeah, I'll tell you, like with hard work, there's always trade-offs, right? So I used to travel a whole lot, sacrificed family time, but in the end, you know, don't have regrets. Don't have. I would say that I tell this to my kids all the time. Nothing in life matters if you aren't having fun, right? In the end, that's what it's all about. That journey. It's your journey, and you gotta enjoy it. You gotta have no regrets, and just be happy.
So the travel, the missing family time is something that you would tell yourself to do again, provided that you were strategic about it. You had a great time with your kids when you were home. You were there at the important times. You talked it through with everybody so they knew why you were doing it. Am I catching that right? And same thing for me. I mean, we had to travel a lot in the beginning, and I'd have to miss my son's birthday every year. So we would have the birthday when Dad was gone, the birthday when Dad got back, the birthday with all the friends. One year, I just decided, screw this, I'm going to bring the company to me. And we had that meeting in my hometown so I could be at my son's birthday. He says, "Can you go back to Park City for that meeting? Because I'd rather have 3 birthdays than just 1 birthday." Funny how it works out. I guess I explained it well to him. Well, Serge, I appreciate you taking time from building new buildings and new cities, from finding great deals, from working with your business partners, from your family to come on the show and share your wisdom with other 20-somethings around the world that want to be like you. Thank you so much for coming on The Edge of Excellence.
Thank you, man, brother. Really appreciate you having me over. It was so much fun.
Well, now you're back on the lunch list. Welcome
All
back.
right, let's do it. Let's do it.